This is Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics, go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Hey everyone, it is Friday, April 24th, 2025. Welcome to Dr. Politics Political Architect Show. This is the week AI crossed the line to being from good to really awesome. And I think some things that, hey, Don, you and I, we remember when the internet was first big, right? When candidates started using the internet as a great leap forward. I think this is the election cycle where AI is gonna basically be the future. Here, let me share a little graphic I did. Are you guys familiar with the Chevrolet Bison? It was a truck it was a concept truck by Chevrolet, which in the Transformers the movie, it basically used that as the alt mode for Rodimus Prime, and I just generated a blueprint while the opening was going. But what are your thoughts on AI, Don? You think it's going to come and destroy us and take over the world? I think it's like the single greatest tool since the typewriter to improve on innovations and speed up the quality of work.
Yeah, I think by and large it's a positive thing, but it's like, my working with it in terms of writing is just that, there are hallucinations, there are errors in there, when it does things. And, I've done prompts to help jumpstart an article for AIA, and there are certain guardrails that they put in place where they don't want to go down a certain path. We're all diehard conservatives, and we have a viewpoint, and they'll say, give me a draft or whatever for accuracy in academia, and it really just makes it really milquetoast. When I read through it,
you know how to really kick that into overdrive. Copy some of your old Dad's articles for AIA or Debbie's old articles for AIA. You throw those in first, right? And then you say, write it in this style. And then watch what your results are going to be.
Well, that might be an interesting thing, I guess. I guess that would be worth trying, because it's like its brain says, I won't do certain things. And so as a result of that, it won't go after the liberals very hard, that type of thing. And I'm like, well,
and by the way, the way you do that, I was actually at a conference where the guy saying, you think your AI is a little too timid. Here, let me show you. write this in the voice of Mark Levin, this nationally syndicated radio talk show host. And it comes out like kind of like something Mark Levin would say. Yeah. And it says use his cadence, use his vernaculisms, and it comes out like something Mark Levin would say. And he did one for what's her name, Doris Kern Goodwin, and Nina Totenberg, and it came out pretty much. I think I guess it's easy to mimic Nina Totenberg when you say the first idiotic thing that comes into your head. I guess that's not too hard to do.
Yeah, but I have been surprised that sometimes I'll say something, I'll prompt to do something, and it comes back with some stuff from the website or whatever that has actually gone and it pops back in there, and so, oh, okay, well, I wasn't really expecting it to do that, but that's good because it didn't rule the stuff that I wrote or rewrote off limits. It actually brought some of that stuff back in. I thought, okay, well, maybe we're making some progress on the conservative side and all that. And
oh, we definitely are, because I tell you, you can also do this with AI. Is you can go in there, and let's say you've got a couple of old articles of AI you like. Let's say the late Charlie Wiley wrote a couple of great pieces, right? You could throw those in, say, now, how would Charlie Wiley say this in 2026, considering all the things that are involved in higher education and blah, 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 blah. And it will spit something out that will have that right-wing slant to it, And obviously, like everything, you've got to proof it. You can't just do that. But, I mean, I know for when I assign writing topics for some of the kids that write for us, I will just go to, like, let's say there's a candidate's website. I'll tell AI to go there. I go, just look at what's on this website. Don't go anywhere else other than now. Give me their positions, a brief description about their background, summary. Give me the 5 W's, and it does that. And then I can send that to the kids. And the kids can do research off of that, and they can put an article together.
I'd be curious. I mean, what if we fed David's book in there and have elections have consequences, the AI version?
Yeah. Hey, do you have a digital copy of your book?
I have it on Kindle.
Okay.
Well, what I like about AI is what I like about AI is the cat videos with the cats making the food. I think that's really cool. And my cat Wrigley looks just like that cat, so I'm always filming that, videoing that, and sending that out. It looks just like Wrigley. Of course, Wrigley can't cook anything, but. And then
that's how the Planet of the Apes got started. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing. Do you ever see the other 2 cats that pretend to be like travel partners, and they're always going to different places talking about food and stuff? So, yeah, it's interesting. But no, I'm not really into AI at this point. But I'm more of a pessimist, unlike Dwight's the optimist on AI. But I don't know. I'm just worried about people being able to think and still being able to think, unless you just rely on machines to do everything for you.
Well, part of the other thing too, I think, is just that we're having a hard time. We're having a hard time distinguishing between, what is how real something is anymore now. I mean, it was bad enough before with the internet and all the misinformation
with Photoshop,
we get, but AI can be extremely convincing.
Yeah. Well,
David,
and
is this a good synopsis of your book right here?
Yeah, it's pretty good. But what would concern me though is the fakes. Where you could fake people, or and if people can discern the difference. I mean, for example, we in Virginia, we had a poll question which was totally biased. It said, shall we restore fairness? And the people were so dumb, and they went ahead and voted for it. They didn't understand it. So, you can imagine what AI might do if it gets to people. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and I mean, I think it is having an impact on jobs.
Oh, yeah.
See, Dave, it's writing your sequel to your book for you right here. It is writing your book in real time, the sequel.
I'm going to that.
I may regret saying that about David's book.
But here's the thing. It's
Dwight's
technology.
gone into full AI overdrive mode here.
Here's the thing. It is technology. I'm a big believer in technology. Remember our friend Bob Anderson used to say, the internet's just a fad. We'll be back to the Olivetti in 5 years, Actually, no, he thought computers were a fad too.
Well,
But,
I like it because one of the things I do like though is that for anything that when I do get around to writing it, I just basically say, can you proof and edit this, because I don't have somebody,
yeah.
around to just automatically do that and correct any errors in there or typos, and it goes through and does that. And I'll look at that and I say, okay, that's good. That's actually maybe an improvement, or maybe I don't like it and I'll toss it out.
What's really awesome is I found these in a box. These are the old board reports from the Microsoft days, and I've got articles in here, and I've actually took pictures of the pages, told AI to OCR it, and I go, hey, modernize this for 2026. Like the article I did for the club, Bias, I found my old article I did on when Bernie Goldberg's book first came out. And I threw that article, I go, modernize this in lieu, and I go, talk about the latest media gaffes I mentioned, because Bernie Goldberg was before Bush 2004, where the Kerry campaign, CBS News dummied up those documents and fed them, I think, to the Kerry Edwards campaign. I forgot exactly the details, but I think they were fed to the Kerry Edwards people, who then fed those back to CBS, who then, oh my God, look at this. And if it weren't for the internet, that would have turned the election against President Bush, I think.
Yeah. So color me cautiously optimistic. I think you have to take things like this with a grain of salt, because we have seen a number of hallucinations and errors, facts, that were not, they made up things, stuff like that. So you have to check a lot. You have to check things. So it's still not perfect, but it is continuing to learn at a very fast pace. But I think we had this with the internet when it first developed. Is that we now have kids that grow up with screens. As they grow up with AI, it's like where is the critical thinking going to go at this point?
And here's the thing. I did not start wearing glasses until I was like 50. But there's kids that are like in their, that are wearing glasses now and I think it's all because of the screen time they're exposed to. I mean, I remember as a kid being told, don't sit too close to the television, you're gonna ruin your eyes, and so on.
If you spend enough time in front of a screen, I guess that can happen to you.
Yeah, and they say we're really losing our mid vision. We're good at close up and far, but it's this area, the middle area where like a computer screen is, that's the vision that's getting screwed up. That's why now you have like even transitions reading glasses where the middle area is where you can but so I mean I'm a big believer in technology. I think technology is awesome. We could do a lot of, by the way, was your governor's name Vargas in your original book?
No.
Was Marcus Reed anybody a character in your book?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I told AI to write a sequel to your book, and it talks about Governor Elena Vargas, charismatic, historic leader. So don't worry, Dave. You can write. You'll be writing your own books. It doesn't remember the character. It doesn't know the characters. But I bet if I fed your entire book in here, it would get the characters' names right.
Well, buy the book.
I think I've already done that.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And next weekend, May 1st and 2nd, I will be doing advanced AI training for candidates. And it's just to show them how to use, because a lot of people are still using AI like it was a search engine. They're using it for research. They're not putting flooring it with AI. One of the things is,
a candidate could use it if you can accurately get AI to do some automated tasks, things like that, and update the websites,
Yeah.
events and stuff like that. I was looking at Chris's page, and I'm like, okay, the events were out of date. I couldn't find a donations, link on the page and stuff like that. But they ought to, when you don't have a campaign that's where you don't have a lot of money, if you can, if AI can be your assistant and your IT person in essence, or your webmaster, and then somehow take in the information, and then populate your website with stuff. I mean, that would be great. I mean, if Chris was out there and he says, like, and he just dictated a list of events where and when, and then told AI, go ahead and put these next 5 events on my website or whatever, and it would automatically go and do that. That would be great for him, because I think it would just save a lot of headache and save a lot of time and potentially money, for these candidates. Help design a campaign website based on these issues.
Yeah, and it does a phenomenal job about that. Let me tell you, I was working on a piece of code for about 2.5 weeks, right? And I was having it was giving me throwing a couple of errors, right? And this is like a hobby horse thing. I didn't want to bother bats about it. So what I did, I threw it into AI. I said, hey, this is the error I'm getting, fix it. And it fixed the error. And not only that, let me show you something that's really cool. And I could have just used the one that because I've got a plugin that I built that does this exact same thing, but I figured since it's going to be a class on using AI, I thought, why not just use AI to do this, So let me show you. I'm queuing it up right now. I checked what's on Facebook to do. Oh, that's fine though. But it is, I think it's a phenomenal thing. Actually, this is actually good because I'll be able to show the back end as well. Okay. There you go. Let me share the screen. And this is just something I did quick and dirty. I didn't, bother putting anything in there, but can you guys see this? You do make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that? You see, this captures your name, address, email, cell phone number. Defaults as mail. I've also got the script written, so if you say Democrat, non-affiliated, it says, sorry, the training is full. So Democrats can't sign up for this. And here are the classes. I still need to do a few things like, and this is the coolest feature that I added in there. Like, let's say if you're in Louisiana, your confirmation code starts with LA. And then it gives you the number, and then there's a special. Because what I want to do is use those confirmation numbers because at the end of this, I've got a quiz going, and if you get a 70%, you get to it kicks out a nice little certificate for you to have. I completed Dwight Patel's AI training, and does it mean anything? Perhaps, but, and this is the coolest part on the back end here, Don. I can go here. And let's see. This is it. Training registration. I can come down here and I can download the CSV files of people that registered. And I did this for the only reason I did this way, had AI write it, because I could have done it myself, but what that would have done is just made it a little bit more, it would have just made it difficult to do, and it would have been, it just would, not difficult is not the right word. What it would have ended up doing is if I did it via AI, if I didn't do it via AI, it would take me half the day to code it to do it just right. This, in about 3 minutes, it'll code it out, and then I could test it, then I could, fix this. And then I'll go fix that. Then I'll go, I need to add this feature. If I were writing the code and if I had to add the features, that's why, when you're coding, you have the whole project plan process, and this will make life easier. But Dave, what do you think? AI net positive, net negative overall for?
Well, like Chow En Lai said of the French Revolution, it's too soon to tell. But I think he was wrong in that case. The French Revolution was a disaster. No, in the case of AI, I'm not sure. I'm
Which
not willing
one?
to. Huh?
Which one? There are several French revolutions.
Well, I was saying the 1789 one. No,
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say it's a positive at this point. I don't know, but I'm still more on the pessimistic side right now.
Hey,
But check
Don.
with me sometime down the road, I guess.
Yeah, Don.
Like I said before, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like cautiously optimistic. I mean, there are definitely some things that it's doing that
Mhm.
pushes us in the right direction. I mean, there's just
Mhm.
been this flood of information, but
Yeah.
we do have it replacing a lot of jobs, which may or may not be the right thing to do. I mean, I think there are certain jobs that people didn't want to do anyway.
Sure.
That you might as well use AI to
Software
fill the
testers.
gap.
Yeah, I'm looking at you guys, software testers.
Yeah, and things like that. But I like I said it before. I mean, it's we still have a problem with the hallucinations, the
Yeah,
errors that it does create.
and
So
yeah,
you still need humans to check
yeah,
over
absolutely.
material.
Yeah, but it does speed up the whole process.
Oh yeah,
That's my
no,
thing. It makes us more
it
efficient.
can
I
dramatically
am.
speed up the process.
I'm all on board with the AI revolution.
Yeah.
Frankly, it is. Getting to the point where I always joke with one of my designers. I go, it reminds me. There's an episode of one of the last episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel Air where George Jefferson and Louise Jefferson and Florence come. They end up buying whatever that family's name was that owned the house. The Banks's house. And George makes a comment. He goes to Florence. He goes, people are trying to crawl in through the windows to get your job here. I'd watch your tone with me here in California. He's referring to how the Eagles come and take over the jobs of the maids. But I think this is a great equalizer for, let's say you're a small nonprofit, right? Let's say you're a small nonprofit that only has like 4 or 5 people. This will really give you the graphics capabilities and design and all that stuff of the heritage foundations. It's a good equalizer, just like the internet was an equalizer back in the days. But that's it. Let's talk about some politics stuff. I think,
That'd be nice.
yeah, we spent a lot of time just talking about AI, but AI is awesome. I'm really, and it looks like the president, he's extended the ceasefire in Iran. They're going to be meeting, I think, in Paris next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I mean, it's he'd had one deadline that's expired, and now he makes this kind of an indefinite thing while they tried to work this out. There's no doubt that Iran has been much more stubborn to get to conquer in essence than they anticipated. I heard I guess he was making a comment to the press about don't push me. World War II took this long, the Vietnam War was this long, and I'm thinking like, I don't know that you want to put the Iran war into the context of these things.
Well,
Iraq.
Pete Hegseth also said the Gulf War took this many days. George,
Yeah.
and this is what I don't like, the outright hostility towards President George W. Bush the Great. Look, you could disagree with him without being downright hostile. He's, after all, is a Republican too, like you. Let's be kinder to our own guys because the Democrats already beat up on them enough.
Yeah, well, my thing is just that we've gone from this conflict, which was supposed to be taken care of in very short order. I mean, they was talking about 4 to 6 weeks, and we're pushing. What are we at now? We're now into like week 8, going on 9.
Mm-hmm.
It's already past the point of where he said it was. So now Trump's tune is, don't push me. Other conflicts have taken this period of time. Well, we certainly don't want this to go on as long as the Vietnam
Don,
War.
I had a house painter, and he was taking a little long painting my house. and he said, "Hey, the Sistine Chapel took so many."
But I mean, this. There's some things that have gone okay with this, but we've run into a few problems. You know, he's Trump has basically admitted that you know getting rid of the leadership. I mean, they've decimated the leadership. They've done a good job about doing that, but they didn't get the leadership that they were hoping for. It's Venezuela, we removed Maduro, and we didn't get the leadership we were hoping for. Though Delcy Rodriguez is just, I think she kind of knows her place, and is it hasn't been overly radical. I think she kind of listens to Trump to a certain extent. But Iran, I mean, no, I mean, well, we're not going to even have a talk with you unless there's a ceasefire or there's some about with Israel and Hezbollah. They're still looking out for their allies and stuff like that. So Israel is, they're negotiating there. We're negotiating, as well. The Strait of Hormuz, is it open? Is it not open? It depends upon the day of the week. But there, that problem, it's not hurting the U.S. as much. I mean, right now our current new normal is oil, at $95 to $100 a barrel, and $4 a gallon gas. But Europe,
I've been
Europe and Asia, they're having
$4
a huge problem for them.
Yeah, I've been filling up below $4. By the way, at the Sheets, I filled up for $3.96. The previous week it was $3.99. Down by the Costco's in Gatesburg. I filled up at the Wawa's for $3.92. Is it really cheap? Yes.
But come on, we have to be honest. That's not a victory for us. I mean, when Trump came into office, gas was like $3.12. Okay, and it was lower during his first term before we had other issues that pushed up, and then it was going down. We were paying below $3 before the war hit. Now I don't have a problem with trying to get rid of those mullahs and getting rid of this thing. 47 years of this garbage regime at some point in time needs to go. And Trump has been pulling the trigger and ridding the world of some real despots. But I pull up to a pump and I'm going to pay close to $4 a gallon. I'm like, how long are we going to go on with this? Because it has a political effect. Yes. Trump's poll numbers are not good. They're getting worse and worse on the economy, on the management of the war. You name it, he's losing.
I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say President Bush's second term poll numbers at this point were higher.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, Trump never had great poll numbers in the first term. These poll numbers on this term are getting worse.
Yeah, and remember, Bush had high approval ratings in that at times in that first term, especially after 9/11 and all.
No, he had, even term two, his numbers were pretty good, actually, I thought.
Yeah, so
until basically it all went south when we lost the House. That is when everything went south for President Bush, frankly.
Well, and to piggyback on what Don said, Trump's never really had great poll numbers. He never has. But if we lose the House, like you just alluded to in terms of Bush's getting shut down, Trump will generally be shut down. Now,
not only shut down, impeachment.
Well, yeah, it'll be another impeachment, of course. Yeah.
No, I mean, the way the Democrats
thing is, the Senate. If at least we have the Senate, Trump will have at least a little power to do some things.
At least the judges, we can get the judges through.
Right, exactly. And by the way, I heard though, Alito is not going to be stepping down this year, nor Thomas. I heard it the other night. I thought the concern might be that Republicans might think, hey, we might lose the Senate. So Alito or maybe Thomas will step down to make sure we get one more pick in there. But that's not going to happen, according to a source, that Alito's staying on, and so is Thomas.
You know who I'd love to see on the Supreme Court? Mark Levin.
Oh, that'd be ridiculous. Yeah,
He'd be hilarious. It'd be like they could sell tickets to the.
That's right. I said it. I think Judge Judy would be excellent. Could you imagine her? She'd say, eyes up here, or her classic, is not an answer.
Well, Joe Biden, when he was running for president the first time, or the second time, he thought Judge Wapner would be a great judge on the Supreme Court. And then somebody goes, Judge Wapner has been dead for about 8 months. And he's like, oh, I didn't know.
Judge Wapner started these judge shows, and Judge Judy's been on for like 20 years. And
well, now she's in reruns. I think she's retired.
Yeah, made a lot of money. Boy, those shows were big time.
You know, who else was a daytime judge was Judge Janine Pirro.
That's right. Yeah.
And she was awesome. I've seen a couple of her episodes on YouTube. I never knew she was a daytime judge.
Yeah.
But,
well, we could use some good judges in Virginia, especially in the state Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy thing, and I was very disappointed in Virginia Republicans who stayed home, because there were a large number of Republicans who just stayed home and didn't bother to go.
Well, we made it much closer. We probably outspent like 20-1, and yet all that.
Why didn't the RPV run ads saying vote no on whatever the referendum number was?
I think towards the end they started to realize.
A day late and $1 short, frankly. Shame on the RPV.
Yeah. Well, we did. I was knocking for them. They did have a program. We were paying knockers, and they were getting people out.
The biggest hero of this was George Allen. Governor Allen really stepped up and really campaigned hard against the referendum. He is a rock star. He'd be a good RPV chair, frankly. Him or Susan, either one of them would be perfect to run the RPV.
Yeah, well, anyway, we have one good judge in Tazewell, Jack Hurley. But, and I was saying this earlier before we started, the reason the Supreme Court, even though it's clearly against Virginia law, the way they did this, the reason they won't do anything is they don't have lifetime appointments on the Virginia State Supreme Court. You have to be renominated and reappointed by the majority party in the House delegates. So these justices probably have a nice, sweet, cushy job. They don't want to lose it. And that's why I don't.
How many years is their term? 15, 20 years, something like that? Or
no, that's like a regular term.
Okay, because in Maryland, our judges are on for 10 or 15 years. I forget what it is.
I doubt it'd be that much, and then you can be reappointed. But you don't have a lifetime appointment like a Supreme Court justice. So there's no insulation really from politics. And they have to really, unless they just want to leave the court, they have to sort of appeal to the majority party. And that's why the state Supreme Court won't do the right thing. So they're gutless wonders. But that's our problem.
Yeah.
The other problem I would say with the ballot, the ballot question was loaded. It was prejudicial. It uses the words "restore fairness" in the language of the ballot.
Yeah.
Well, that's an opinion. That's bias. There's no fact behind that. You're just giving me your opinion that this restores fairness. So the question was wrong, improper, and should not have been allowed. But Democrats control the process. That's part of the rigging of this.
Yeah,
all right.
and I tell you,
Supreme Court justices serve 12-year terms in Virginia.
Okay. All right.
So that's a decently long term, but the problem with the Supreme Courts around the country is just that things have become highly politicized, no matter what, and so they know that I think they continue to look over their shoulder, saying like, I like my job, so I better I do have to kind of look out for the political winds. Now, look, I mean, the bottom line on this too, though, is that Virginia wasn't going to do this.
Yeah.
Except that Donald Trump started the ball rolling in Texas, and then other liberal states picked up on it. Some of the red states picked up on it, and we just have this morass of mid-decade redistricting that is just it's a mess. And
what I would also point out, though, is that Indiana had a Republican legislature and governor, and they didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, and the Democrats
good for them. I mean, push back on. Don't do this. Don't do this at all.
And the Democrats are claiming that as a victory on their part. So we should be claiming victory in Maryland for shutting down West Moore.
That's right. Kudos to Maryland. But there's only one seat in Maryland. Why would you It's a major thing to pain to redistrict just to get rid of one person.
And actually, here's the thing: the dirty little secret was the map would have been thrown out by the courts, and we'd have gotten a better map where we had 2 Republican seats instead of 1.
Yeah.
That's why
there is the Louisiana case about kind of like the set-asides for the seats that is supposed to be decided at some point, and
that's right.
Right, Calais, and so that I'm very curious to see how that goes, because look, my thing is like, okay, you want fairness, so let's use Dwight's favorite AI, and tell AI, and humans can go and double check to make sure things are correct.
Yeah.
But you tell AI to do something like draw a colorblind contiguous compact district, and we need 8 of these for this state, and you start and you have AI. I would love to see what AI would spit out for every state in the union, and just let the chips fall where they may. But we have so many distortions because we've got to have a black seat, we've got to have a Latino seat. This is not.
It's funny you bring that up. The Democrats, when they actually have set-asides on their central committee for trans, for lesbians, for gays. They have seats for that only a woman can run for.
Yeah, that's an interesting. That's actually an interesting point too. That's like, what is to prevent Democrats from pushing under civil rights of saying, oh well, we need to draw a majority trans friendly district or something.
Well, I tell you, what's funny is like when are like the Republicans, they also have national committee men and committee women. I'm waiting for the Democrats to add a national committee tranny to their mix.
Well, but Don brings up a good point. This case, and we've been waiting for this case for months, and that is the Louisiana case, Calais, I guess, versus Louisiana, which deals with the Civil Rights Act and racial gerrymandering. And there's a talk that Democrats on the court know they're going to lose it on the Supreme Court, and they are slow walking the dissent to try to delay the time, because it seems to me that if the Supreme Court rules against racial gerrymandering, then some states will have to redraw their districts.
Yeah,
unless it's so late they can wait till next cycle. I don't know.
Well, that too, though. I mean, David. I mean, what if somehow you get enough court challenges in Virginia, for example, on this thing, that you can kind of delay the end result. You can delay certification so that it becomes too late to put into effect for 2026. I don't know. I mean, we're in April, but the clock is ticking. I mean, the time moves fast.
My guess is what the court would probably just rule is that the current districts would have to stand. And they would say, well, you've already, you don't have to redraw them, but you can't use this gerrymander map. Now, again, I hate to say it, I think the gerrymander will go through, though. Now, I wish I was wrong, but I don't see the
point. You never know.
I think the end result will be is it will go through.
Yeah.
And this, all we're seeing right now is a lot of tit for tat with states like, okay,
Florida's going to try and put 5 more seats.
Texas added 5 seats, and so Virginia's now going to try to offset that, and Maryland was trying to do that, and Missouri and Florida and California are doing their thing. Illinois made noise about that. New York has made noise.
What about Utah? Didn't Utah have a plan?
Utah actually, I think, when they did theirs, you talk about
how did this happen in Utah?
They actually, I think, wasn't their result was that they're actually they're actually wind up with a Democrat seat more or less. They managed to get before to put everything in place so that they could control all the House seats, and they basically have backed off. And I'm like, oh man, so this is not, if Trump thought that, telling Texas that redraw your maps and so we can get an advantage because the margin's too thin, we're not sure how 2026 is going to go in the midterms, this is not working well. I mean, and I think Trump's poll numbers this time around are low enough that it could really drag down the GOP in November. the House, I think the House members are definitely worried about it in districts that were kind of marginal, even if the ones that did win, won back their seats or flipped them back to the Republican, column in 2024. It could easily flip back to a Democrat in 2026 here, because Trump overall, I think, is unpopular. I mean, he hasn't done a lot of things that have won the hearts and minds of people, and the things he's campaigned on hasn't really come through very well at all. I mean, if we still have high gas prices come November, or really it's probably come October or thereabouts, because of early voting, or maybe even September, that's going to be a problem. If we're still stuck in this war, that's going to be.
Well, I think that's hurt him. The Iran excursion, as he calls it, I think is probably.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think to push back. I think Iran had to happen. Okay, I think this pause is stupid. Let's go after Kargan. Let's decimate their energy programs. Let us take out every single bridge. We need to take a page out of President Nixon's playbook, Operation Madman, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that was when President Nixon started moving bombers and tactical nuclear around to make it look like we're going to nuke North Vietnam. And that's what ultimately brought the Viet Cong to the bargaining tables in Paris.
Well, that was probably, it's like Trump's line about destroying the civilization.
That was Henry Kissinger. I mean, Marco Rubio is probably, he's our Henry Kissinger today. He's probably, I wonder if he's flying out in the middle of the night, like going to parties in Georgetown, then Friday night flying to Paris to negotiate peace, and then comes back, and people think he was at a party.
Iran is a valuable source of oil potentially. I mean, you could, if you can get a regime change and something, friendly to the West, they would benefit. But we definitely have got to free up the Strait of Hormuz and figure out how to knock out Iranian military assets and things like that are blockading that, and trying to get around the things that we're doing as well, and get that oil flowing. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So jet fuel prices have doubled. Okay.
Oh yeah.
It means that if you're going somewhere anytime soon, you're going to pay a lot more for a ticket because they're jacking those up. But if you're in Europe and you're in Asia, they rely on that. They rely on the oil that.
Well, Europe only has like so many months, so many weeks of jet fuel left. Is what.
Look, what I am reading here is that you have planes that fly from the U.S. to Asia or U.S. to Europe, and they're carrying extra fuel, so they have the fuel to go and make another run somewhere else. They are canceling flights for short hauls that are in between. They want to save their fuel for long haul, very profitable flights, but the fuel is expensive and it's in short supply. And but flying extra fuel from point A to point B, particularly if it's on like a 12-hour flight or whatever like that, that's very costly, because that is weight on a plane. Weight on a plane burns fuel more quickly. So it's they kind of have this conundrum. We need fuel in Tokyo. Okay, we'll add in a little bit more. That's this little safety measure to do it. So we have some more there, and we combine that with some other things. So then we can make a flight back to the U.S. or wherever, or go to Singapore, whatever it is. But this is a game that can't continue, and so everybody suffers in the long run with this, and people remember that. I mean, even though people in Japan and Korea, unless you're expats, you're not voting for anything here. You still have, the other U.S. If you're in the U.S. and you're trying to fly somewhere, it becomes painful to start flying.
And on the same note, you hear the government is going to be becoming where did I read that? in what's that yellow airplane? Frontier? Is that
It's Spirit Airlines.
Spirit.
This is one of the dumbest things they could even do. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I'm like, why are we getting into the airline business?
Yeah, look,
I mean,
look, we've bailed out the auto companies and the airlines before during 2008, 2009. We did it during COVID. We had some exceptional circumstances, but this is an airline that is failing on its own.
Yeah.
It can't make money. They've already filed bankruptcy twice. Why is Donald Trump going and doing this? Because he's like, he can save jobs, okay? But those jobs are going to cost you and me and David money.
Yeah.
And
It's like, did we know, the French and the British Empire used to have state-run airlines. It's called British Airways and Air France. And they privatized they both privatized in the 80s. Margaret Thatcher privatized in I want to say 1982 or 84 British Airways, and the French privatized Air France, I think, in the early part of the 90s.
I mean, what does the government know
India anymore?
Yeah, what does our government know about running an airline, especially one that is a discount airline?
Wow.
That doesn't
President Trump ran a discount airline. Remember the Trump shuttle?
Yeah, but it doesn't exist anymore. I mean, we can list airlines that have either gone out of business on their own or merged with other airlines to
or the
survive.
greatest of the low price carriers, Brand Fair.
Yeah, right. I mean, and Spirit. How many people would miss Spirit? Spirit carries 3% of airline traffic. Okay, let it go.
And I had to say this. I have never flown on Spirit, but I know people who have. They said, it's like taking a bus, like a Greyhound bus in the sky. That's how disgusting Spirit Airline is to fly on.
Look, like everything else in America, there are people who, they want the cheap flight. They want the $69 base fare, and they will pay another $30 or $40 or $50 for the seat assignment and the luggage or whatever. Okay.
And by the time you get done, it's the same price if you flew on.
And they still get, a cheap seat. But it's 3% of U.S. airline traffic. Yeah. Okay. Forget about it. Why $500 million loan? That's a $500 million loss. The Treasury Department will never get that back.
Yeah,
this airline is poorly run. It can't make it on, and they're blaming, part of this too. I think part of the reason why Trump's doing this because they're saying that they were going to come out of bankruptcy, but they said the tipping point here for them for survival was the rise in jet fuel prices, which is related to the war. So that's a bad look for the Trump administration. Just let it go. But Trump can't do this. It just makes me go, oh.
Yeah. And my point is this: what we should. Okay, first of all, again, no one's going to miss Spirit Airline. 2, do you remember the 1970s when Jerry Ford decided not to bail out the city of New York, and then we got that iconic "I Love New York" campaign as well. Bailing out New York City in the 1970s was a better gamble than bailing out Spirit Airline. And I'm not a fan of Jerry Fordham, but Jerry Ford, he did refuse to bail out.
Well, I didn't like the auto bailout and all the things that happened as a result of the auto
bailout. Got bailed out under
that was terrible. But there's nothing that you or I or whatever we can do about that. The government's going to do what it's going to do. They tout this as this is we have to save these companies. This idea of too big to fail. Some companies have to fail. I mean, if they are mismanaged and poorly run, goodbye. Okay.
I'm sorry. Look, we learned. Have we learned nothing from the bank bailout? Too big to fail.
Yeah.
Are
we not capitalists? It's like,
that's right. Remember Lehman Brothers?
What happened to the free market? It's like why all of a sudden it's like you turn around, you can look. I mean, look at us. So we're actually probably going to make the money here. The one thing I didn't like, that we had done, was we were putting all that money into Intel.
Yeah.
and Intel set a all-time new high. They haven't touched this price on their stock since like 2002.
Yes.
You know, I say to the U.S. government, cash out now.
Yes. Or put it
Yeah.
into Bitcoin or Trump coin, whatever meme coin.
Oh,
you
the
wanna
Trump
put it
coin. Yeah, the Trump meme coin. Trump doesn't even really talk about this right now because that meme coin is a disaster.
in. And by the way, have you seen the Trump watches? By the way, they're almost the same price as some lower end Tag Heuer watches.
Wow.
You know. And
The only political watch I have is a Spiro T. Agnew watch.
I've got a Reagan one too, actually.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I think Kachi Bullock may have given that to me.
Yeah, I may still have some of those, Republican watches that I was selling for a while around.
When I should have worn it when I was in Garrett County speaking. I should have worn my Spiro T. Agnew watch.
How did you like Garrett County? I saw the pictures they posted.
I liked it. It was here's the thing. I went through Waze took me through West Virginia, and it was hill after hill after hill. And I'd get up in my car, I'd get up one hill and I'd see the next one down the road. I said, oh man, I can't make it up that hill.
That is the highest point.
I'd see another mountain. I'm thinking, oh, I can't get up that one. I got up there.
Are you driving a small car?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I then decided, okay, why don't I not go through West Virginia, come through Maryland and down through Virginia? You know what? It was every bit as hilly in Western Maryland.
Yeah, Western Maryland is the highest point in Maryland, and that is Bear Mountain, by the way.
Okay.
Over there, and over where you were, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia are only like feet apart in certain parts.
That's right. And the other thing I learned
where we're going to be in Flintstone in a couple weeks. You look to the left, it's Pennsylvania. You look to the right, it's West Virginia.
Well, where I stayed with the Hammonds, they're very lovely people. They
people.
Well, they let me stay there, and out their window, you can see West Virginia, and they're like on a mountaintop right there in Maryland, but you can see West Virginia. And the other thing, from Oakland, Maryland to Pittsburgh is closer than Fairfax to Oakland, Maryland. So, and Oakland was a small town. It had more people than I thought, just over 1,000. But it was such a little town. I thought, what, a few hundred people? But no, there were over 1,000.
You were probably the reddest of the reddest part of the state of Maryland, too.
Yeah, it was nice. Very nice out there. So Western Maryland's really nice. I just had no idea that Garrett County was so far when I decided to come speak.
You should go to their Lincoln Reagan dinner.
Okay.
It's coming up in May. If you want to go, let me know. I'll talk to Luann and company.
All right. Well, I will say this: I love it out there, but it is a long way to go.
By the way, if you had come in from the Maryland side up 68, over where you go through when you pass through Cumberland, it is the most iconic scenic view in the state of Maryland.
Oh yeah, the view is beautiful. I was just thinking about the hills.
I don't know if it's still there or not. I'll have to see if it was there the last time we were.
Well, I mean, having driven from from Gaithersburg to Indiana and going through Cumberland and then also going through West Virginia, I'm like, okay, I'll take the mountains or hills in Maryland any day for traversing because there are just so many in West Virginia. It's ridiculous.
Tennessee. Like I remember going to Nashville once. Yeah, it's like really crazy. You think you're gonna skid off the road, if you're not going slow.
Yeah, well, drive through the Great Smoky Mountains, and then, or something like that. Yeah. You're like, okay, they got that name for a specific reason, and it definitely fits. You get the high you get. It's like, where am I going? I can't see anything.
But the song lies, it's not covered with cheese. On top of Old Smoky, all covered with cheese.
Well, it was made Washington County look like a breeze to get to Washington County compared to Garrett.
But if you had gone the other way, come up the Beltway, taken 70 to 68, you would not have even noticed the hills.
Well, the thing is, I went by Waze, and then Waze always takes me the oddest or the most ruralist way.
Maybe it's because I'm from Maryland. I use Waves as a suggestion. You know, I've been told one day Waze is just going to get so mad at you and take over control of your car because you ignore it so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, Waze got popular because it's crowdsourced, to let you know if there was a bottlenecks and stuff like that. But like a lot of other things with phone, based GPS things, is that you plug in an address, and some of the things you have a kind of a vague idea of where you're going, so you kind of know the route a little bit in your head, and then you plug that thing in, and you're like, "Where are you taking me?"
Well, that's what happened to me. That's what happened. That's what happened to me when I'd go through Maryland. I used Waze. I didn't know where I was, and it was kind of scary because Waze would take me down these little country roads and stuff, and I didn't know where I was. But see, Waze tries to get me around all kinds of traffic, but I sometimes would rather just be on a main road, even if it's takes more.
But I tell you this,
I used Waze once to come back from a state Republican convention in St. Mary's, and it took me. I was like, why did I follow that? Because it took me off the main road, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
I should just Route 4 all the way to the Beltway.
I just should have stayed on the main road because this is going to take me forever now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this though. Do you guys use Waze if you're going, like Don, if you're going to Olney, would you use Waze for that?
No.
I know people use Waze.
She kind of likes Waze, but I just stick with like Google Maps or Apple Maps, but I don't use any. But if I'm going to a place I already know and it's really it's within 10 or 15 miles, I'm not using. I rarely use GPS unless I just haven't been there before.
Yeah. That's how I am. But I know people who use Waze just to go to the supermarket. I'm like, why do you need to use Waze? You know where you're going. Have you forgotten?
Well, it's for people who think that Waze is going to help them avoid traffic jams and when police things that are going on there and stuff like that. But it's like, those things are going to happen no matter what. Anyway, it's like the chances are that by the time you get to that point, it's already gone.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's another thing that's happening on Waze. I don't think they're doing it in Maryland, but I know in North Carolina and South Carolina, the police are going on to Waze and saying, police spotted. So people slow down automatically.
Oh,
wow. I hadn't thought about that, but
they used to park empty cars.
There's nothing that would prevent you from doing that, but you do need to be on the road or, to be able to say, we've got police activity here or whatever.
Yeah.
Or speed trap there. And
if they're driving,
you could have guys in the cruisers doing that, I guess.
And I mean, they used to park empty police cruisers to get people to slow down. Now they just use Waze. And I wonder if the law enforcement.
All you need are speed cameras, and they just love to install them.
That's what they have in Maryland.
I hate those.
I do too.
And now they added those new German-made ones that are built like tanks that are supposed to be vandal-proof. So.
Yep. And it is insane. It really is. But we're at the end of the show so fast. So final thoughts. We'll start with Dave. Final thoughts for you.
Well, check out my Substack, and I'll have my podcast up tonight. All is good, and I'll try to crank out another column this weekend. I've been writing most about the Virginia political situation, but I'll try to branch out for this week coming up. But otherwise, everything else is good.
Final thoughts, Don.
Yeah, a few things just real quick. So the DOJ's suing, I guess, the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is a great move. Trump has had a lot of lawfare and going after his enemies. This one is one
long overdue.
Is one for the conservative movement because you could say the SPLC was doing good work, in its early days fighting against the KKK and some of these racist groups.
Now they're hiring the KKK.
Oh,
But
yeah,
now,
that's funny.
but now with this latest revelation about how much money they funnel through these informants and everything like that, this is really exposing them for what they are. And for the media, they're very culpable. This great organization or whatever. But look at the number of organizations they've gone after and tarred as racist and all this stuff that are completely benign. They have really targeted the right over the
We
last.
may end up on that list one day, Dr. Politics and Political Architecture. We may end up on that list.
Yeah, well, I think the SPLC will have better things to do right now while they fight this than worry about someone like us.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Janine Pirro has closed the investigation on Jerome Powell. This was just a fishing expedition. It was stupid. It's not Jerome Powell's fault if they were spending more money. This project started, long ago. You're talking about the government trying to, rehab something.
Yeah.
When have they ever not gone over? But this was all part.
Remember the cost of
This is
the.
all part of Trump and his war on Jay Powell to try to talk down interest rates. But at least now with that closed, that'll push Tom Tillis to say that he should be able to vote for Kevin Warsh for new Fed chair, because as long as that investigation was open, he was going to block that nomination. So now he should be good to his word and see if he will now go ahead and do that when it comes time to vote on that. So that'll be good. I mean, it gets rid of a stupid thing that Trump has done. Just I think on the show we're not averse to calling Trump out for things he's done that are just don't make sense and should not have done to begin with. As David said, we've talked a little bit about Virginia and what's going on there. I think David's right. I think you're right. That's going to go into effect at some point in time, but maybe not. I don't know if it's going to go into this cycle. And just we're this other story that popped up where the soldier that was involved in helping plan and operate the Maduro ouster, he had been using the betting platform Kalshi and to bet on the outcome of those things. And $33,000 he put up for various bets and won $400,000. So the government's
Wow, that's insider trading used to just be about stocks and bonds and that market. Now we have insider trading on the political.
Well, I mean and he's won there, but I mean we have several politicians that have bet on their own races, or even will I run for office? They bet on it and then they win money. We had one guy.
So that's kind of like Pete Rose when he bet on the Reds.
I bet on it so I could get caught to show you how ridiculous this is. Like, this betting market stuff and how it's been sliced and diced to these parlays and things like this is just ruining everything. I mean, we've got it's ruining college sports, it's ruining pro sports because we're just seeing more activity that shouldn't be happening.
I think they should get the Pete Rose treatment, lifetime ban, and never get into the Hall of Fame. Although we'll need to create a Hall of Fame for politicians so they can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Pete Rose having died, I mean, the issue goes away. So then the Hall of Fame now has to decide at some point in time, do they put him back on a ballot and let their veterans committee vote him in at some point in time in the future? That may yet happen with Pete Rose.
I will tell you, I think the sports reporters have become so damn woke and political. I don't see that happening.
But you have to watch what's happening with the Hall of Fame voting, because over time they've kind of loosened the strings a little bit, and we're getting players in that would not be Hall of Fame worthy under other circumstances. So the definition of what expectations are for a baseball Hall of Famer, the bar is lower than it was 20 years ago. And as sports writers retire and other ones replace them, I think the younger, the other sports writers would come in and maybe look more favorably upon some of these guys that don't have the sterling numbers that others Hall of Famers did. But it's still going to be Hall of Fame, and I love the game of baseball. So
yeah, I do too. Orioles Magic. By the way, Do you think Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco will end up in the Hall of Fame now?
That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
That's never going to happen. But it is questionable. On
They did not receive
Bobby
a
Bonds
lifetime
or Roger
ban,
Clemens. I mean, Kurt Schilling, I think, has really been kept out because
he's a
of
Republican.
politics. Yeah, I think the politics hurt him. So I think that happened there. So anyway, this is my last show for a couple of weeks. I'll be flying off to Korea and Japan next week.
Oh, nice. I'll be there like the 15th. I'll be there from the 15th to the 23rd myself.
You'll be
Yeah,
what?
so I'm going to be there 15th to the 23rd. Myself. Basically, we're doing Tokyo, and then we have a friend who's getting married in Kyoto, so I'll get to ride the bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, and
You're going to Japan?
Yes.
Wow.
I get to do the Toho Studio tour.
So that's
I will be able to get my selfie with Godzilla and Jet Jaguar.
Enjoy it. So I'm coming home. You're saying the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that when you come home?
Yeah. So I'm coming home the 14th.
What are you flying? Swiss or Nippon or what's your airline?
We're flying American Airlines into Korea, and then we're going to have a short. We're going to take. I think we're going to fly Asiana or something like that into Japan for a few days, come back to Korea, and then fly back on American back home.
Okay.
Dallas.
I'm taking Swiss Air because I got the best deal for business class, which I was told is now called Economy Plus or whatever they're calling it.
Premium economy on American.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're basically waiting for an upgrade to the business class. Waiting to see.
The airline that you can fly really cheap in first class is Emirates.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
But I'm not going to take a chance flying through Abu Dhabi or.
There were reports that they cut their fares to like COVID levels, or because there's nobody will fly right now because of the situation out there.
If I was going just by myself, I'd roll the dice. I'd roll the dice and do it. But because I'm going with someone else, she may not like risking being stuck in Dubai for a week or two. It reminds me of the episode of The Cosby Show where his daughter takes a job in Africa, and the parents are like, well, what if our daughter, who's dropped out of college and has had 17 jobs since then, decides that she doesn't like being. And the woman's like, oh, some native will walk her to the road where she can probably get on a chicken truck or some sort of truck. That'll take her to a town where she can get, if a plane lands, she can get on the plane. That'll take her to a major city. And if the plane lands, she goes no more than 2 to 3 weeks for her to get back to New York. It's kind of like that. But So anyways,
that's it. Back to you.
Okay, final thoughts. Really, AI is awesome. Check out dwapchow.com. I've got AI training on the offering. So if you want to take part, it's advanced AI training. You will need to have your ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude accounts ready to go. So have those ready, and we'll have some fun. And the other closing thought is that go out and voting will start. Support our Republican candidates everywhere. Support our fellow doctor who's running for office as well. And that's all I've got. So yeah. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you next week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go down to Masoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go